missed large parts of the game. There's probably some fitness concerns around people like Shaw and obviously Tumavarvi, who was taken from the field as well, which kind of leaves them in a... Because Mark Sneyd, as good as he's been this year, can't do it all on his own. As this game showed, he really did try to. He had about 12 or 13 attacking kicks. He kicked a 40-20. He was as good as he could be. He couldn't be good enough to win the game or to guide the team around when they weren't all working as well as maybe they have been when those imposing figures are on form. From Leeds' perspective, though, it was a case of some of the seasoned stars turning up in terms of Watkins and Hall. Definitely, I think Burrow had a far better game in terms of his kicking game and distribution than he probably has most of the year.
Well, the pressure's off him now that Seguiero's in the side. He's not having to spell people at dummy half and do as much kind of plain hooker, is he?
Well, he did a little bit of that, but what they had for the majority of the game, which they haven't had in a lot of recent weeks, was a hooker, two halfbacks, a creative weapon out of fullback who wasn't moping around. And then on top of that, they had their starting centres who were very creative players when they play properly.
Yeah, and Seguiero
it meant a lot. The Seguiero putting him into the side, he's not hit his full straps yet, but he certainly he looked to get involved a lot more than both alluded in the whole season. In just one appearance of around about 65 minutes or so, he was crucial, but I don't think he was the star of the show. As far as
you can see,
other people who deserve notice are people like Delaney and Ablett both had much more imposing performances than they've had previously this year. Maybe with Hull hampered a little bit with their attacking structures after the Tumavarvi substitution. They maybe meant that these players who've been criticised for being out of position a lot this year were able to not be targeted as much for their lapses in defence. People like Watkins, Ablett. Church, there was his mistake that led to, I think, the Tumavarvi dummy and go over, wasn't it? But really interesting to see bottom beating top. That shows that we do have a competitive league, and the game was exciting, and there was something in it to the end. So it shows, and there was a physical intensity to it. It was an enjoyable game.
Yes, it certainly was. So tell us the story of it in terms of stats, then, Mark.
Some really poor numbers from Hull, especially in the metres category. Only 5.8 metres per carry. That's 1 full metre per carry less than Leeds were able to achieve as a team, and under 1,000 metres.
Wow.
364 metres less than Leeds in total. Those numbers probably would suggest a bigger win for Leeds than it ended up being, so credit to Hull for how much they did stick around. That was a big difference maker, with the error and penalty counts being quite even in the game, actually. Leeds did tackle a bit better as a team. They made more chances and ultimately were able to take advantage of the field position, mostly through Watkins doing what he can do rather than what he has been doing, I would say.
Very good. So, speaking of Callum Watkins, tell us about the individual performances then.
Well, he had 2 tries, 7 tackles, 106 metres, 3 successful offloads. Liam Sutcliffe with 1 try and 116 metres. Ryan Hall with a try assist, 152 metres, and that was classic Ryan Hall play, wasn't it? We've seen that a lot of times before, that take and drop down for Joel Moon. Mitch Garbutt makes it again, 147 metres, and I would probably be throwing his name into the hat for my Leeds player of the season at this stage, 2/3 of the way through.
I'd say certainly in the last 7 or so weeks. I don't think he was doing much early days when they were really, really struggling at times. But he's pulled his socks up, is what I'd say.
I think what I would say early
middle
days,
third of the season, I'd say.
I'd say early days, they were still expecting Galloway to be an international calibre forward. Or an Origin calibre forward, and Cuthbertson to be the player he was last year. The more they've realised that isn't going to happen, the more they've allowed Garbutt to be a presence, to be the guy, and he's really really rolled his sleeves up and taken that
Yeah,
role
credit to
well.
him. Absolute credit to him. Who stood out for Hull FC then?
Well, not too many people, unfortunately, this week. Scott Taylor had 108 running metres. Dean Hadley had 42 tackles filling in at loose forward. And then Danny Houghton, obviously, always relentless. mate, 47 tackles.
And do you know what I've noticed, to go back to the Warrington game? No Chris Hill in the stats roundup. Wondering the last time Chris Hill didn't make a stats roundup was.
Well, yeah.
Not to take us off topic too much, but I've just thought, because Danny Houghton's frequently in there, isn't he? And I thought,
Yeah, well, also from Leeds' perspective, Jamie Jones-Buchanan didn't quite make it this week. He did play off the bench, didn't he?
Yes.
Maybe that, and he played when he played off the bench. I assume he went into the front row. I couldn't quite work out, but I think that's what happened.
Right.
And he probably would have
Yeah.
been spelled more, therefore, and not made the tackles he's been making from the loose forward position that he's been playing in.
And big congratulations to Jamie Jones-Buchanan, who made his 350th Leeds appearance this weekend as well. That was a milestone game for him.
He has been around forever, though.
Ever
He's been
and
growing
ever
the beard
and
the
ever.
entire time.
They put a little montage of pictures of JJB up on the Leeds Twitter feed. I don't know if you saw it, but
No,
from
I did not,
From
no.
like his debut, when all the hair was up top and there was nothing on his chin, to kind of like over the years, as he's had like the cornrows and then the slightly receding hairline and then the big fuck off beard and bald head. It was quite funny to watch that progression. But 350 appearances for one club is a remarkable achievement, especially when you consider the amount of trophies that he's won.
Oh,
during
yeah,
that
his
time
career
as well.
has been glittering, yeah.
There's not many that will be able to put to line up their medals next to Jamie Jones-Buchanan, is there?
But many who'll be able to explain them more clearly to the human ear.
Perhaps so. And if eloquence was one of the main requirements of being a rugby league player, Mark, you and I would both be Test internationals. Fortunately,
I think he has it. Just
it's not.
He just has to write it down rather than speak it.
Maybe that's it. Right, phone reviews then. Bob Phillips got in touch. It's not even a one-word review, it's a one-letter review.
He says pushing it, isn't he?
A+.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay, Tyler Cass fan, he said Hull controlled a lot of the game but didn't get the points that their play maybe deserved, which kept Leeds in the game. Hall and Watkins coming back into form at last. Burrow and new boy Seguiero had good games. John Hamilton said a brilliant effort, but trying to crash Hadley over early on and Lily driving out of our own 10 when there were massive forwards available for both were just two of the poor decisions that almost cost the match. Seguiero loves a lateral dummy pass, inverted commas, but fantastic to see Ryan Hall being Ryan Hall again. Hugely engaging touchscreen guest. Richard Wilkinson, alright Richie, got in touch. He said, what a gutsy win from Leeds. The lads should be really proud. Seguiero was solid on debut and had an instant impact. Watkins had his best game of the year. Playing at this standard will do nicely going into the 8s. I'm backing us for a good win against the Pies. Rich Langley said, Leeds looking more like the 2015 vintage whilst Hull looked tired. Hopefully this is the Hull's dip and they can pick up heading into the business end. Though Sneed's still on fire. Scoots got in touch. She said very poor performance. I'm worried about the next 2 matches. We need Ellis back. Cutthroat J got in touch. He says what a difference James makes.
Oh, should I point out?
Very good.
I tipped it.
You did call that, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was I think makes the difference.
And I did have a feeling, and I did say that my feeling was based on some of the forward players and some of the injury concerns about some of the skill position players.
You did.
I was bang on, by the way, is what I'm saying.
Isn't it good to know that someone who hosts and purports to know about rugby league knows about rugby league?
No, it's so rare that it happens.
Disinclined to give you the credit you feel you might deserve.
It's so rare that it happens that I feel like it needs to be.
Well, I wish I hadn't tipped the way I had this week, because I almost called a Hull KR 1 point win.
You did, yeah.
Before flip-flopping at the last minute last week as well. And in actual fact, it was a 1 point Hull KR win and not the 1 point Huddersfield win that I predicted. Obviously, these two teams are going to be coming up against each other again in the middle 8s. But, KR...
It's just about kept Hull KR's hopes alive.
No, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
But, more than likely these two are going to be coming up against each other in the middle 8s, but it's good to see Hull KR actually getting a win and some attacking stability in the pivots, or a little bit. Well, green shoots.
Matty Marsh played, didn't he, alongside Albert Kelly. Matty Marsh has been playing quite a bit of fullback this year, so he has been involved in the team, which last year when he came in for some odd games here or there, he hadn't really been involved in the team. I do think that's going to give them an opportunity, especially if Sean Lunt can stay fit, to be a solid force and not have that drop off because of the lack of creativity. We talk about the forwards not necessarily being the biggest, the most imposing, and that's true. And so what you do need is players who can pass a ball at the line, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's how you'll overcome the bigger opposition you've got. And I think that these two halfbacks have shown that they can attack in various ways at the line, and that they're getting some good joy out of that. So if that can stay together, actually it's not the doom and gloom situation that we talked about them not being able to create anything, that we talked about last week. Have you seen...
I haven't seen the penalty try.
Right, okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Did you see anything else from the game? Because I thought there was a few weird decisions. One, I don't understand fully the ruling on, but Hull KR put a kick in, a very poor kick from, I think, Kelly. It was charged down by Rapira. Although he was turning his back, I do think he played at the ball. Does that mean everyone's automatically played onside? Because Mitch Allgood, who picked up the ball then after a Huddersfield knock-on, was definitely offside when the ball was kicked.
If he's played at it, then he's onside, isn't he? Or the ball's...
So if there's a charge down, even though he was in front of the charge down even... I'm guessing that means what he was. You can see Ryan Brearley being Ryan Brearley of Lee as well.
That's the risk of the charge down. That's why it's a low percentage play.
Oh no, I realise that the charge down went backwards. And then Allgood picked it up after another Huddersfield player couldn't take the ball.
Yeah, my understanding would be that Allgood was
put onside again.
Yeah,
even though he was offside from the kick, but put onside by the charge down. That's what I thought it is, but it did look. I wasn't entirely sure on how that breaks down in that play. And if he maybe
Paul O'Brien can set us straight, because we do have a resident referee.
What about if Allgood? That's what I thought too, because Rapira played at it. But what about if Rapira hadn't played at it? Would he still be put onside by the ball striking Rapira? Because the first time I watched the replay, I thought he hadn't played at it. But then when I watched it more, it looks like he did stick out a sort of.
I don't know. I don't know the nuance of that one.
The Ryan Brearley scored a try that was like kind of old school Ryan Brearley.
Rolling back the years for Ryan Brearley.
Well, rolling back the months even. But
rolling back the weeks.
What he did that was ridiculous, and why it was a little bit infuriating. Do you know how you don't like him because he sort of thinks he's amazing?
Yeah.
And acts like he does like little annoying things. Well, he was going in to score his try, right? And a Hull KR player had chased him back, and he'd run. It was a really good take from a kick by Murphy. Slipped an offload round the back. Brearley took it and ran 90 metres. Or Brearley, but when he was going in to score, he was going towards the post, and then looked at the guy who was chasing him, sort of dummied a bit, and ran a bit further away from the posts. It helped his team zero.
Yeah.
There was no reason to do it. It didn't look impressive. No one thought, whoa, look at his step.
I know.
And it just made me think, just when you've done the first real Ryan Brearley thing, in a positive way for Huddersfield, you've done the first real Ryan Brearley. That's why you're a little bit annoying, mate.
Here's why I'd be giving him a spray for that. It's not like he's come into this Huddersfield team and set the world on fire and dragged them kicking and screaming out the bottom four.
No.
Is it?
You just want to see the good things. You don't want to see the annoying things. We want to see that from all the players.
Just general poor sportsmanship really, really gets my go up. I think you need to be, magnanimous in victory and gallant in defeat, and not be a little bit of a prick. And I think it's just that side of things.
I just think it was ridiculous. That was the thing.
And it makes him, and it's stupid. It served no purpose apart from he was maybe trying to be John P. Largecock a little bit, and it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. Maybe that's it. Maybe at 34, I now look at that and think, "Fucking kids today." Maybe that's my problem. But I don't know.
But anyway, the stats on the website, on the Super League website, were incomplete on this game. So there was one of the Rovers players missing, the young winger, unfortunately, which means I can't give a full, accurate summary of the stats. However, from the numbers we do have, it looks like better discipline and ball control were the key for the Robins. There was Huddersfield gave away quite a few more penalties and made I think it was probably a handful more penalties, unless the young winger gave away a few to match up the count, and also a couple more handling errors from Huddersfield as well. So that helped Hull KR, who were behind, I think 19 points to 6 or 19 points to 4 or something, from quite early on in the piece, and maybe even half time, and they were able to overcome that with the late burst. Individually, Sean Lunt had 3 try assists for Hull KR and 40 tackles. So
he's